Hey, I'm Jonathan, and I live in London, England.
Hey, I'm Jeff, and I live in Perth, Australia.
Together, we are Ekko and Sidetrack.
We produce music that sounds like this.
And this.
And even this. This podcast is about music, creativity, and everything in between the giant space that separates us.
Welcome to A Band Apart with Ekko and Sidetrack. This is our second podcast for 2 days in a row.
It sure is.
It's kind of odd. So we recorded a podcast yesterday where we discussed George Floyd and the current situation in America and racism in general and how we feel about it. And obviously it's disgusting and we are super against it. But we re-listened to it and felt like it was a bit disjointed and the energy wasn't correct. And we both...
It was also...
Yeah, sorry, you go.
Sorry, I'm interrupting, but it was also how we were bouncing all over the place talking about how we see racism in our places, in our different cities we're in. And then kind of we talked about our limited experience in America, and it just felt a little bit like we were thinking and talking rather than having formed some actual ideas and were saying things.
Yeah.
And it felt a little bit incorrect. Like, and it was also arguably like reasonably uninteresting, because we were sitting there going like, was it this? This is terrible. Like, oh, that's really bad. And then we'd look up a little fact and be like, that's terrible. And it's not very.
It was very off the cuff, and I think the intention was there, but the execution wasn't. So we're going to take a week and do some more research, collect some more ideas, and come back and do just a bit better version of that podcast next week.
Yeah, because we still feel like it's something that's worthy of a discussion, and in no way, shape, or form do we believe we're experts. But it's something that is worth talking about, because I believe it could be something that we could easily shy away from, and we could sit here and giggle and laugh. But it's something in the world that is affecting people, and it is something we both feel pretty strongly about. So it's worth discussing.
Hell yeah. So yeah, that will be kind of addressed more next week. In the meantime, we've got some other things that we wanted to talk about. One of them, there's two things. The first thing, you just showed me a little clip of a song that we haven't worked on for a while.
Since 2018, actually.
Since 2018. And it's kind of a lighter thing. And, Jeff just played two versions of two different drums. And I commented on one of the drums and just said, that's a bit lame. I don't like those drums. And then he played the other one. I was like, that's a bit lame too. And it's a lighter song, but in drum and bass, sometimes you assume that lighter songs have to have lighter drums, like liquid drums, maybe more breaks and that type of thing. And what I wanted to discuss with you, Jeff, was the idea of a drum and bass ballad that isn't necessarily counted as a liquid tune.
Yeah, they exist. I mean, the liquid drum and bass is such a wide thing, and it's subjective. Is Just 1 Second the Apex remix? Is that a liquid tune?
Yeah, I'd say that's... Yeah, I would
Define a liquid tune to me.
When I think of liquid, I think of someone like Caliber. Or like Galaxy or Polar and Bryson, like kind of smaller...
Hybrid Minds,
smaller drums, a bit more minimalistic, lots of melody. So I would call the
sorry, go.
I would call the Just 1 Second remix, the Apex remix, dance floor liquid. But I would also say that's more of a ballad Basically,
Yeah, so that's what I'm going for. Is a ballad is every ballad a liquid song, or is every liquid song a ballad?
no,
Neither.
because I kind of think of ballad may be applying for me more in terms of like a dance floor artist makes a softer song, but that isn't a liquid song.
Okay, so soft is one of the characteristics of a ballad.
Yeah. So a ballad that comes to my mind is Sounds of Life by Pendulum.
Yeah, that's
But
not necessarily a ballad, though, I don't think.
But is it? It's
Is Love to Give by Dimension and Culture Shock a ballad?
maybe that is a ballad, but it's also a lead tune. It depends how you want to. I think in drum and bass we love putting subgenres on stuff, and especially when you're explaining things like, is Love to Give a lead tune? Or is it a ballad? Or is it a dance or liquid tune?
A lead tune is something that's very producer based because it has a lead synthesizer at the front. The Google spits out the dictionary meaning for a ballad is a poem or song narrating a story in short stanzas. Traditional ballads are typically of unknown authorship, having been passed on orally from one generation to the next. So that is the ballad of Johnny Hanson, and that would be a bard singing the song. But it's also a second meaning, which is more relative to what I was talking about, or we're both talking about, sorry, is a slow, sentimental, or romantic song. So I think we can just say a romantic song. So I think ballad, when it comes to drum and bass, there's a lot more ballads than we may think, but maybe you have to clarify what you mean by a ballad.
Maybe
I don't think I've ever said the word ballad so many times in my life.
Ballad. Maybe my definition of a ballad was incorrect. I think what I meant to say was a lighter tune and a minimalistic tune that still had dance floor drums. Maybe that's what I
Give me an
meant.
example. Give
like
me two
Sounds
examples.
of Life. I keep going back to Sounds of Life. Basically, I just listened to Hold Your Color, like the Pendulum album, and listen to it start to finish, and the contrast of having these massively heavy songs with songs that are still sonically heavy, but like, Plastic World and Still Grey.
Still Grey, man. What a vibe.
Like it's a liquid. They're all liquid. They're kind of like very melodic and like softer sonics and instrumentation, but it's still these punchy kick and snare. Like, I don't know. I think it's just such an interesting, it's cool balance between dance floor and straight up liquid.
Yeah, it's totally.
Follow the Light by Subfocus is probably another example.
So you want to push the song that I just showed you more into that realm than it was sounding a little bit like a little like Smoky Roller from 2011.
Yeah, and I guess we need
put a vocal loop over that, and that's a B-side on a record label.
Yeah. And I guess I think that's just more of a. But traditionally, I think we've struggled with those tunes because when you put a big kick and snare in, or a bigger kick and snare than it maybe that you would get out of just like a rolling amen break or a roll break, which are two different types of drum breaks, you want to fill up the space.
You do.
Well, yeah, maybe I want to. Yeah, maybe I want to fill up the space. Maybe this is a good challenge for me because sometimes
I'll give you that project, man. I'll do 20 minutes work on it and just like distort this thing like I want to distort it, and then you can do whatever you like with it. It's an interesting little chord progression. I think it totally could be something, but again, anything could be anything. But it's interesting that you heard it and you're like, I feel like it could just be one of those songs, but then that would be just just putting it in the box and being like, that's a nice little box, rather than pushing it sonically and pushing it musically as well, I think it's going to be significantly more interesting if we do that. And to change track slightly, talking about music again, when I messaged you about were you ready to have the Zoom chat that we turned into the podcast, you said you were like, yeah, just give me 10 minutes just making some shit music. Yeah. And I was going to say, what's shit music?
Shit music is basically what I've been writing for the last week and a half.
Oh, buddy.
But and I think
that's a bit long for a genre on iTunes.
And I think what it is, and I as I said that to you actually, and I just did a little 10-minute meditation where I meditated on me saying shit music. And I think what it is music. What happens when I go into the studio with an intention is usually 80% of the time at the end of those sessions, I come out with shit music.
I opened a project just before called C minor dance floor hit.
That's definitely a project that I started.
And I opened it and I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, yeah. It's like, nah, it had like a little lead thing that was kind of boring and like a bass, like rhythm. It would have been written, 2018. So we're probably trying to write a lead tune, a tune with a nice lead in the front. And then, we nailed it when we did the remix of Underloved.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just interesting, like going in with that intention. You can have an intention, but then like you're putting a lot of expectations on yourself by like calling it like song in key, absolute fire banger.
There's a project on the old computer called Andy C will intro with this.
Oh yeah, and I think it's probably got like 1.5 saves. Like it's got nothing. Like you just probably just a big.
I think my intention has been obviously our next single's more of a ballad than a dance floor thing.
It is, but it rides that line, and we had to work really hard to make the sounds work, because otherwise it would constantly. We'll talk about this more as the song comes out, but it would constantly dip into this realm of like you've made a liquid tune,
yeah,
and I'm like, well, actually, yes, I have.
So, I've wanted to write something heavier, and I think I've found it hard, one, going into the studio with the idea of writing something heavier, and I've made interesting sounds. I don't find it that hard to make interesting bass noises. I have been struggling with the arrangement of those bass noises, and I think part of it is because I'm going in with that intention. And then the second part is I'm not really in the mood to write a heavy dance floor tune. That's probably...
So don't.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I came out of the meditation thinking. Like, I'm in the mood to write a ballad, or I'm in the mood to write a kind of like softer sound. Like I was listening to... My friend at work sent me a guy called Lambert. It's just like a piano... and Geop Beving. It's just like a piano, reverbed piano, super like modern classical music almost. Super, super cool. Gave me all these ideas for like pads and looping samples and kind of mood, which is a great start point for tunes for me. And that's what I was listening to on the way to cook breakfast with him this morning. And then I came home, and instead of going into writing something that I might have been more in the mood to do, I came home and I was like, no, I want to write something heavier. And I struggled to write something heavier for 2 hours. And I had a cool idea, and it was kind of off and on. I was just, again, when you asked me to do the podcast, I was like, this is just kind of shit. And I probably should have listened and been more aware of what I was in the mood to write and just write something. I could have got out an interesting idea in 2 hours rather than working against what I was naturally poised to make.
For sure. Don't do that. Like, yeah, following the intuition of your creativity is really important. And decide how good it is when it's done. Not casting judgment too soon. Like, oh, this is not good. This is not heavy. This is you want to put things in a box. Just make fucking music. Like, and your skill, one of your skills is starting songs and like having great ideas. And you need to give yourself more of a chance to have those ideas and not be so judgmental on yourself. Like, you can't turn around after 3 hours and be like, well, I've written an awesome 8-bar heavy loop. That's something that, not to blow smoke up my own ass, but that's something I more might do. Like, I've sent you like super short little clips of something and you've been like, yeah, that's sick. Send me over the stems and I'll turn it into something. And then I've given you the stems and then nothing's happened because maybe you felt constricted or constrained or something by it.
Sorry. Okay. I don't think it's like that so much.
You don't think so much in bass sounds or like heavy sounds. You much more work on vibe, and vibe requires layers and layers and layers to build up, then take away before you find the essence of the song.
Yeah. But I think it's also, it's not that I was being judgmental of the music. I think when my response to you was just off the cuff, instead of saying I'm writing shit music, I should have said I haven't written anything. I should have just said I'm just designing bass sounds. Because that's
you just told me the truth, but you told me the truth, and that's okay as well.
No, but it's
if
not.
You had said,
no.
I'm designing bass sounds. That's
no.
Oh, I'm lying. I'm at work. I'm doing it.
No, but I'm not. I'm talking about like, because you talked about judgment, and like.
Oh, that was more just a general
rather than
statement about the way you create. Anyone creates.
Rather than being less judgmental, I could have just said like, I'm just making bass sounds, and nothing has stuck out to me. I should have probably just said I'm working in the studio, and knowing that I'm going to go back in there, and again, like, I think you're right about, like, I mean, we talked about this before, like, you need to spend time to get breakthroughs
totally.
with a tune for sure, but when you're just like, again, designing sounds or looking for interesting samples or just creating, I think it's important to, and what I probably should do is just bounce out sounds. I was making sounds and then arranging them too quickly and trying to get like a groove and trying to get a riff because I wanted to write like a riff song as well. There was that intention. I want to write a dance floor, I want to write a DJ tool and a riff song. So I've already got these two limitations on my creativity.
It's crazy.
And then,
it's hard.
I mean, time's not really too much of a limitation because it's not like I wanted to show you a demo in fucking 2 hours, but yeah, I think I'm going to go back after this conversation. I'm going to go back and just write what I felt like I wanted to write this morning. And
how about you just write what you feel like you want to write when you sit down and want to write?
And that's what I want. That's what I wanted to write this morning.
Because that way you also clear your creative channel of that, and you might be able to come up with something else. And like, there's no shortage of heavy sounds, light sounds, whatever kinds of sounds, and you know how to make them as well. So it's really just like the kind of mood you're in is going to drive the song, and let the song steer you a bit more. Like, the natural direction you go as you're writing a piece of music is allowing the piece of music to write itself. And I suppose what I was saying about judgment is that, like, if you are writing a piece of music and it's just like flowing, don't stop and go, oh, does this oh, this song was meant to be a DJ tool. That means I've got to make it a 32 bar intro. Or, oh, this is just fucking get it all out. Just write the music and then arrange it and worry about it later.
Totally.
There are bands that jam and record a lot of stuff and then they go back over it and they'll make songs out of that stuff.
And you also know, like, a song, the best songs turn out not to be the things that you wanted to. You might start, again, with being like, I wanted to write a DJ tool, and then you start writing it and you go, oh, this is turning into something else. You don't resist that. You can never resist that. If you resist that and go, like you said, like, oh, it's a DJ tool, it has to have a 32 bar intro, or it's a DJ tool, there can't be a lead, or there can't be this like loud pattern or something like that. That's just restricting, and like, it's restricting your creativity, and it's restricting where you're naturally being led to. It's like following a compass and seeing its direction and being like, nah, I actually want to go this way because I think this way is true north, even though the compass is telling you that this way is north.
Yeah, otherwise you're not trusting yourself and you're not allowing it to flow.
Yeah.
Because you can't control your creativity at all times.
No, not at all.
In fact, it's best not to, and then it's best to like form it into something. You know, make lots of sounds, make lots of things, and then be like, oh, I really like this little riff, this part of the riff. Like, we need to spend more time writing songs, just writing music. And for the longest time, we've have to think about our song output in this like, oh, we want it to be like this. Oh, maybe our next single should be like this, or like maybe it has a little bit attached to it for us. You are now working, you know, very sporadically, and you're teaching, but otherwise you have all this time to make music. I don't want you to put this like binding thing on you. I'd rather you sent me 5 weird pieces of music a week rather than sending me like one every 2 weeks and being like, what do you think? Because you're putting too much pressure on yourself to make it that thing.
Totally. And I'm not. Yeah, I hope this doesn't sound like I'm like complaining and I'm like struggling.
You're not complaining at all. We're just having a conversation.
Yeah, I feel like it's just been taken a bit too far.
In what way?
I don't know. I feel like I don't know.
It's you just said the reason I asked you about shit music and this conversation's happened, and now I'm responding to you, but I think you're a little bit more of an emotional creative.
Yeah, for sure.
At times. So I would listen to your inner compass and work with that rather than sometimes being like, I'm going to try and do something else.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's... Sorry. I think the key is to just... Yeah, not to think. As soon as your thinking brain gets in the way and that stops. That stops all creativity.
Think less.
Yeah.
Flow. That's why flow states are so important and so revered, because you're like, oh, what I've just been working and just like feeling the flow. And we've talked about this before, you can do things to put yourself in these states, and there's some really good books out there about it, and you know, things like meditation, exercise, coffee to some degree, you know, they can put you in this like state. And like the key is not to let your like you said, your thinking brain get, and which is the judgmental side of things. Just create. Like imagine you're just working on stuff, and also don't try and change lanes too quickly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I've made that thing. Did you know what kind of drums this needs? This needs these drums. That's why some of those stems we've bounced before, we can just drop in the synchronized drums. We can just drop in the Leiden drums, the whole stem, and you can hear what it sounds like. And then you can just write without judgment, knowing that you're going to change the drums.
Yeah. But
you've got these kinds of drums in the background. Yeah, I think that'll be really helpful.
Something I've been um, finding it helpful to be aiding when I'm writing softer music or more melodic music is just spending 15 minutes playing the piano before the studio.
Oh yeah.
Just get a Ableton piano, put the gain reduction plug-in on it, send it to a reverb and a delay, and
Nice.
just like fully wetting up the piano sometimes, and just like creating like tones and drones and just kind of this swirling melody, or this swirl.
Man, that's the best way to start a song. Like, just do whatever you're doing, and then when you find something that you like, a sound, a tone, record it, and then that's your bed that you start your melodic search for other pieces on.
Yeah, exactly.
And all of a sudden, you didn't clearly go like, oh, this is a G flat 7 chord, but you've just got this tone and you've got this feeling, and it's a good step off point. That's quite a reasonably common way to start a song, I think.
And I think you hear, especially like pushing super wet reverb, you hear harmonies cross over that end up leading to ideas for leads, or end up leading to like drier sounds. Like you might hear like an F sharp kind of note holding throughout this tone or this swirl of pads. So you start playing a dry F on the piano, and then fucking a G sharp comes through, and then that dictates what key you start writing in. And like you're truly allowing, almost beginning with randomness, you're just following that thread. It's just following that thread and following that thread.
That's
and following
it.
That thread. Rather than starting with drums and a zeroed out
bass.
An initial serum, and being like,
that's
okay, I
the
want
hardest
to write
place to
it
start.
in F, and there's gonna be bass on the 1, and that's how you get to do just like, you know, those classic rhythmic things that have been done. It's been done before,
but they've also been done really, really well, and they came from another place. And I dare say none of those were started with a drum loop and then a single bass patch. Like, we do this. It all comes from somewhere.
What is the greatest? And I mean, we have the term boo-urns for it, which is silly because it's from.
It's a Simpsons reference.
Yep.
Explain the reference.
There's a Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns enters a film in a film contest, and everyone boos, and then Mr. Burns says, like, are they saying boo? And Smithers says, no, they're saying boo-urns. Boo-urns. And the boo-urns bass for us is basically like a boo-womp. A boo-womp. Some great...
boo-urns. Boo-urns. Boo-urns.
So a great example of that might be...
I can't believe we're having this conversation publicly.
But there's bass patches. There's so many massive bass patches called boo-urns. Boo-urns 1, Boo-urns 2, Boo-urns 3.
The Hot Box by Mind Vortex is a good one.
Great. Stomp basically that subfocus Reese patch that
Computer Music 2012
or something, the massive patch.
Yeah.
In
Performer and Massive. But you realize that's not the main bass sound in the song it's from.
Which is crazy.
It's a background sound, which is like, we've always tried to bring it to the forefront, and it's a background sound. It's but I mean, the other guys that did a really Mind Vortex done a really good job. Our tune with Trade Luddites is almost a boo-urns song.
Oh yeah,
in some way
it is. It's good. I mean, yeah,
got that out of our system. Hold It Up is almost a boo-urns song.
Do you remember the old version of Hold It Up?
Was it the one that went
No. Do you remember it was more based on the middle 16 of Hold It Up? I think. There was two versions. There was one that we changed, that you changed, that was a bit more like drivey, that we were both into, but then I think Viper were like, nah, the original is better, and we thought maybe we could turn the other one into another idea.
Yeah, sure. I have no idea really. That's a song it's funny, you make some songs and you kind of forget them.
Yeah.
And if you asked me to make that song again, I'd be like, I don't really know how.
Did that I'm just gonna search that. Did it come out? It came out. Hold it up, came it out.
Hold it up. Yeah, it's on a compilation or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. Someone's told me it's their favorite song.
Isn't that weird? Hearing someone's favorite song. That's their favorite.
It's a song that you're like, whoa. But we worked so much on that and then forgot about it.
Yep. Are we doing a demo?
I might play it this week on the stream.
Are we doing a demo this week?
If you have a demo handy, I should take this moment to actually plug the live stream. If you just listen to us talk about this stuff, you can actually watch us play some music, or watch me play some music every Friday on twitch.tv/TheRealShock1. Me and The Real Shock 1. We put the fake one in the cupboard. Me and Carl play tunes and chat, and yeah, it was last week I had an edible and did it, and that was a bit of a wilder ride than I was prepared for in some respects, but good fun. Yeah, Justin, our producer. It's funny to call him our producer because he's a very talented record producer in his own right, but he comes in and does all the video stuff for us. He had rigged the sound effects that come over the screen to be now audible in the studio. So like explosions on the drop and like, people saying things and all sorts of stuff were happening, and it was a lot more like being on a roller coaster than just DJing.
I liked the shirt you wore, and I liked the unbuttoning.
Man, the funny story about the unbuttoning. Justin, I realized as maybe 10 minutes before we started, I was like, fuck, this cake is kicking in. And if you know anything about edible weed, it kind of hits you differently to smoking it. But I was just like in this giggly mood, but it also became apparent that I was like, oh shit, I've got to like be on somewhat, like on television, really, like live broadcast of some sort. And Carl was like, do you want to start? You play the first song, and then we were waiting for pizza, and I was really waiting for pizza.
I really loved the fact that you started with Furlong, though.
Furlong, man. Big Jenga.
Man, I didn't. I that was a surprise.
And then I played like High Contrast Flashing Lights remix and stuff. I played Paint It Black. I was just freeballing, man. Like at one point, Carl looked over and was like, "What key are you in?" I was like, "Dude, my record box doesn't work, so I've just thrown tunes in a folder, and I'm just like, it's like I'm just playing off records. I'm just hearing what I think would sound good." And I've quite impressed myself. But yeah, so the first 15, 20 minutes, I was like, whoa, I am quite stoned. And then I just embraced it and drank another beer or two and started laughing, and like, we are coming back to the t-shirt thing. And I started just feeling a lot more in flow state rather than being like sitting there going like, whoa, I could potentially just be like
freak out,
get a bit weird, just get a little bit weird, be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, man, one point the song nearly finished, like me and Carl were just talking, eating a piece of pizza, and I looked over and there was like 8 bars left of the tune. I was like, are you gonna play something? He's like, I'm eating pizza. And I'm like, what the hell? And so I just like scrambled, and it worked. And so there was a few moments like that, and then me and Carl were laughing a lot. And then Justin, the previous week we had made some money with donations. You can donate on Twitch, and Justin like turned around from where he's sitting on the computer in front of us, and he's like, "Hey man, someone will give you $50 if you undo 2 buttons of your shirt." And I was like, I don't know about that. And Carl was like, you got to do it, man. You make the money. Come on, fucking do it. And then I was like, oh, yeah, okay. And then I was like, became kind of funny. So I undid it. And then I felt a little dirty, but maybe I didn't mind that. And then Justin was like, oh, another $20 for another button. And I was like, sure, it's got to be $25. It was $25 per button. And he goes, no, $20. And I was like, oh. And Carl was like, you got to do it, man. And Waxy was there as well. And he was like, yeah, go on. And I was like, and Soulsby and Dean as well. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like, it's fun. It's all part of the game. It's fun. It makes $75. That's fun. And then I did it. And, that lasted a song or so. And then Justin was like, oh, someone said they'll give you $20 more to do all the buttons up. And I was like, okay, that was like funny. That was a funny 5 minutes. Either way, got through the rest of the stream and it was quite funny. Actually, if you watch all the way to the end as well, we start restreaming again. Like Justin started again and you can hear Carl be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, let's do it. We're going for another 45. Like, but after all the podcast, after all the stream, Justin goes, man, there was no money. Hey, that was just me telling you to take your shirt off and shit. So I was just the correct amount of high and drunk to be highly susceptible.
You should have. Would you do a stream without your shirt on?
That's a pretty strange question. I don't know. Maybe if we were near some sort of a beach or body of water.
Would you ever play a DJ set without a shirt on? So we were playing.
Yeah.
We were supposed to play Hospitality at the beach this year. But
on a boat.
On a boat. Obviously that was cancelled. But would you have played Hospitality at the beach without a shirt on?
Yeah, at some point, if it was hot enough, like I probably would have had a collared shirt on and maybe
okay, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We've been drinking from 12, so we're a bit hungover from the night before. We've eaten. We're a bit of that giddy kind of tipsy where you were kind of. It feels like you just continued the night again.
The shirt's coming off.
Okay, you're wearing coming off. You're wearing a button up. I'm wearing a t-shirt.
I'm opening the buttons all the way, and then I might take it off.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd want a bit of sun on the skin, though. I wouldn't. I don't know.
Would you take the shirt off all the way? You're going back to back. Me, you, Seb are going back to back.
I'd encourage Seb to take his shirt off, and then I'd do it. I'd follow suit, and then we'd clasp hands, and we'd be like, yeah, and then you'd play. This is the rhythm of the night, and everyone would take their shirts off.
Yeah, I feel. Yeah, I think. I mean, if the sun's
you'd be on board.
You gotta. I guess you gotta take your shirt off in some sense.
I also think like I'm not the most shirts off kind of person.
No.
I'm pretty white.
But you're muscular. You're like a goddamn muscularity of a chimpanzee at the moment. Corded metal. Your body's like. I'd like you to send me a photo of your body. Have you got an updated photo of your body for me?
Are you making a collage?
Maybe I'm doing one of those like, people take a photo of themselves every day for 365 days to show how they've changed. Maybe I've been doing that with you for the last 10 years.
That'd be interesting because fuck knows where you've got the photos from because you never take photos of me.
A lot of you. Oh,
we've hit a sore point. We've hit a sore point, have we, Jonathan?
No, it's the same conversation. What are you doing taking photos of me? And then you complain about not having photos of you.
I just take photos in more of a sneaky kind of from the hip kind of way. I capture moments, and whereas you would want to.
You do capture moments. Have you farted and you're recently smelling it? Are you smelling your fart now because you capture moments?
I'm feeling pretty smug about the whole thing, Jonathan. My lenses are actually my eyes.
Fuck off. Eat a dick. Your lenses are your eyes.
Do you have a demo to share, or should we do a demoless podcast?
Let's do a demoless podcast because I just... Yeah, let's do a demoless one. Demoless. Let's do a demoless one. And do you want to, during the week, extract? Because the only ones that we've kind of got handy are...
I've got a demo, Jonathan,
Dropbox.
but it's not for this podcast. I'm just going to say 2 words.
Okay.
And you're going to tell me what you think of that demo.
Okay.
The Light.
Ooh. Shut the front door. What a song. That was like...
I have a bounced version of that.
That's like us being Nero.
No, that is literally us.
Would you put that on... Okay.
7 minutes of masturbation is what that is.
But sick.
At 140. Yeah, it's got a place.
Remember we played it in
Melbourne.
Yeah. And it's in...
When I got punched in the face.
Yeah. First time we met Deacon.
That's a podcast in itself, buddy.
Fuck, if we could get that footage. Wonder where that is. That's gone. But yeah, we are... Yeah. Man. What a sick song. That is a sick song. I'd put that on the album. I'd change the speed. I'd turn it into a house tune. The way I'm remembering it, it's definitely not as good as what I remember. Probably, yeah. But yeah, sick. Okay, that's next.
Put it
week.
this way, John. It's got about a minute and a half where there's Apollo 11.
Oh yeah.
Samples.
Oh yeah. Going into the second drop. Austin, man. The dueling,
lots of
dueling guitars.
Dueling guitars.
I think that's like a Ekko and Sidetrack.
It was definitely us trying to do light cycles.
It was before Light Cycles.
We would have heard it before Light Cycles came out, but I think we would have heard.
More us trying to pushing
Floyd.
Yeah, Pink Floyd, and pushing the boundaries of drum and bass psychedelic electronica. I think more than Light Cycles.
Maybe we can do it as a demo next
Yeah,
week.
let's do it. Let's do some Ekko and Sidetrack 140.
I do have the demo, but the opening the project might be a completely different kettle of fish. Is there anything else you wanted to briefly mention?
No, not really.
So what have we learnt this podcast, Jonathan?
Learn to follow your instincts and follow your dreams. And I'm going to take this as some inspiration. I'm going to go back into the studio and write with my heart instead of my mind.
And I'm going to take my shirt off.
Yeah, and do some push-ups.
Write with my nipples.
Take some photos. Get Carl. If Carl's there, you should get Carl to take some photos of you. You should do a nude...
Carl, do you want to take photos of me with no shirt on? He said he can't wait.
I knew it. Yeah, you should do a stream. Both of you should do a stream without a shirt, without shirts on 1 week.
I think you've mispronounced. Do you mean... Sorry, I'm mishearing you. Are you saying we should do a stream or we should have a steam?
You should have a steam without shirts on.
And then stream it.
Okay, just a quick idea. Turn Raya's studio into a steam room. Thoughts? So we've got a stream room of Carl's studio, then Raya's is a steam room. Or better yet, just replace the bass traps in our studio with steam vents.
Yeah, just make it a steam house.
Proper steamy situation. It would fuck the computer and electronics up in the room so
it would
hard.
Fuck the whole room, man. Everything would go moldy and and it would be really hot as well.
How long
do
you
you
reckon you could exist in a...
How many... Imagine... That's like my worst nightmare, trying to produce a song in a sauna. You can't leave until it's done. Oh my God, I can't hear a thing and I'm so thirsty. One thing I'm going to quickly say, Jonathan, is today I was quite tired and I had a nap. And for me, a nap is laying down with a meditation, like maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's 20 minutes. This one was 20 minutes and just going into that zone. And I felt so much better after having the nap. And I probably didn't actually sleep. I just held myself in this space that was really quite nice. And I've been doing it for a while, but I can I highly endorse naps. Particularly, anywhere from like 2 to 5 in the afternoon. Just slide in for 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and you just bounce out. And, if you do a little stretch afterwards, drink a big glass of water, you're as good as gold.
Have a nap instead of the third cup of coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what else we've learnt from this podcast. Oh, man, I'm still breathing weird. I think I'm stressed about something, but I don't know what it is. On next week's podcast, we won't find out. All right, buddy. I love you.
I love you too.
And I really like having these conversations with you. And you're a great guy.
You're a great zombie.
Thanks.
I love you too.
That's a very obscure reference. And if anyone out there gets it, please send a fax to 08246 1036. And then you'll get the Seacrest Fish and Chip Shop. All right. Peace out.
See ya.
See you, buddy.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on your podcast app and keep up to date with all new episodes. They're going to be coming out once a week. We are Ekko and Sidetrack on Facebook and Instagram. On Twitter, we are Ekko Sidetrack. Go listen to our music on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, or wherever your ears consume happiness. Lots of love, people.